At 89, Woody Allen has finally chosen to reflect with rare openness on his life, his art, and the truth behind his enduring bond with Diane Keaton, offering not a scandalous confession but a deeply human reckoning shaped by time and memory. Born Alan Stewart Königsberg on December 1, 1935, in Brooklyn, New York, Allen rose from a shy, intellectually curious boy in a modest Jewish household to one of the most influential filmmakers, writers, and comedians in American cinema, using humor as both armor and insight from an early age. As a teenager, he wrote jokes for newspapers and radio under the name Woody Allen, and after briefly attending New York University, he abandoned academia to pursue comedy full-time, quickly becoming a standout voice in 1950s television with his sharp, neurotic wit on shows like The Ed Sullivan Show. In the 1960s, he reinvented himself again as a stand-up comedian, crafting introspective routines centered on anxiety, love, and the absurdity of modern life, a style that seamlessly carried into his early films such as Take the Money and Run and Bananas. His defining breakthrough came in 1977 with Annie Hall, a revolutionary romantic comedy starring Diane Keaton that reshaped the genre through non-linear storytelling and emotional honesty, earning 4 Academy Awards and cementing both of their legacies. Over the following decades, Allen continued to evolve with films like Manhattan, Hannah and Her Sisters, Crimes and Misdemeanors, and Bullets Over Broadway, blending humor with philosophical reflection on morality, faith, love, and mortality, while maintaining an astonishingly consistent output of nearly 1 film per year. Alongside filmmaking, he wrote acclaimed essays, performed jazz clarinet, and cultivated a signature style that influenced generations of directors. His personal life, however, was often as complex as his films, marked by early marriages to Holleen Rosen and Louise Linton, turbulent relationships, and later the highly scrutinized marriage to Soon-Yi Pravin, which nonetheless became one of the most stable chapters of his life. Yet, through all the changes, controversies, and decades of reinvention, Diane Keaton remained a constant emotional and creative presence. Their relationship began in the early 1970s during Play It Again, Sam, and Allen has now admitted that he was immediately captivated by her authenticity, eccentricity, and effortless wit, qualities that inspired not just characters but entire films. He has clarified that while their romance was brief, their connection evolved into something deeper and more enduring, a friendship built on mutual respect, acceptance, and artistic trust. Allen has acknowledged that Annie Hall was not merely written for Keaton, but written about her, drawing from her rhythms, her pauses, her spirit, and her way of seeing the world. Even after their romantic chapter ended, there was no bitterness, only admiration, loyalty, and a bond that survived fame, scandal, and time. In his later years, Allen has recognized that Keaton was an emotional anchor during his most creative period, someone who stood by him when others didn't, and someone who made him, in his own words, a better writer, director, and person. Now, looking back on nearly 9 decades of life, Allen's reflection on Diane Keaton stands as one of his most sincere admissions. They were never conventional, never needed labels, and never truly left each other's lives. Their story endures not as a tale of lost romance, but as a rare Hollywood legacy defined by deep understanding, creative partnership, and a connection that time could not erase. Because, as Allen finally admits, if there was one person who truly understood him, it was always Diane.